Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is our round table. This is, let's see, who all do we have here? We have Ashley. Can you wave? And we have got, there we go. That's what I was looking for. And we've got Cammie. And we have Kristen. I'm going to be sharing with you today, or they're going to be sharing with you today, their amazing transformation stories. So each one of these wonderful women went through my Know Your Numbers program last year. And so they have all had different yet successful years, and we're going to kind of talk about that, and they're going to get to share their stories. And of course, if anyone has any questions, let us know, and we will get those asked and answered for you. So Ashley, real quick, why don't you start and you tell us about where you're from and what your business is and kind of where you were before you took Know Your Numbers.
Okay. So I have a floral design business, and I've been in business for 1 year this month. So I had gone through BBB, and then I also took Know Your Numbers just in November. So before I took Know Your Numbers, I think my only goal was just to have clients, have weddings to do. So I would say there wasn't a lot of intention behind it. I had kind of set up my business, but I had a moment in September. My husband and I sat down and just started kind of looking at where I was profiting or not profiting and just kind of how things were going so far. And I had already signed up for Know Your Numbers, and I just knew, because I'd gone through your other courses, that just have to get to November and I'll have some sort of clarity on what to do with my business and kind of what to do with these numbers. So I feel like I had a lot of data beforehand, but didn't really know what to do with that information. So.
And then how would you say just having that first module, because Know Your Numbers is broken up into 5 different modules. We go through, big picture planning, and then we have personal finances, business finances, and we kind of do this end of year kind of cleanup, updating, and then we do annual goals. So how would you say just even that very first video about module 1, what did that do for you?
Yeah, so that's actually probably my favorite one, going through, reflecting on the year, seeing what had actually gone well, what hadn't gone well. I took time to celebrate some of the big things that because I did accomplish a lot in my first year. But I was just living kind of task to task, deadline to deadline. And in that first module, I was actually starting to feel okay, I know I want to live with intention. I started my business with intention. I have a vision for what I want this to look like. And I just feel it gave me just that, maybe freedom or permission to kind of step back and reflect and really say, okay, I have these things going on, and what do I want my life to look like? And to really start from a place of intention and meaning that really helped kind of pave the foundation for, how does my business fit into that? And what do my finances look like? And what are goals that are actually going to be meaningful?
Yeah, I actually go through Know Your Numbers every year as well, every single year. And one of the things that I think is so fascinating, and I think probably people when they first get in the program, especially if you're just all about business, might be a little frustrated because it's why aren't we immediately talking about business numbers? And what I always find is every year when I do the program, life is not just about work. You have this whole life, you have people in your life, family and friends, and how do you want to spend your life? And then we're going to incorporate work into that. We're going to figure out how to pay yourself salary. We're going to figure out how you can fund this travel that you're desiring to do, and all of these things. But I love module 1 too. I do as well. It's really eye-opening. So Cammie from Dallas. So those of you, if you have not listened to this week's podcast, you've got to go to ZimmermanPodcast.com. It is episode 16, and Cammie is, so you're going to get a little bit of it here, but we're only talking for an hour here and with all of us. And Cammie shares kind of her whole story on the podcast, and it's really something I'm so appreciative and grateful about. Cammie is she's like me in the sense that she's just willing to share all of it because she knows that that's how we help others, and just super vulnerable. And so Cami, I kind of want to talk about module 2 for a second with you, and you can kind of tell us about your business and everything. Do that first. Tell us about your business and you, and then we'll go into my question.
Yeah, of course. So I am in Dallas, Texas, and if you're familiar with Dallas, I'm in the design district where there's a whole bunch of other professionals in the event industry. I live in Frisco, so I drive about an hour to hour and a half in from my house every day, which is actually really awesome because I get to listen to the podcast that I did with Jessica the other day, but listen to podcasts and learn, and so it's really great. But I own a business that does boutique event rentals on the specialty side, and then we opened up a floral division this year as well. So it was my first year in floral. Know Your Numbers, I have now taken it twice. So I took it at the end of 2018, and then now I took it at the end of 2019. And it was incredible both times. One of the two biggest things, and they deal with the personal and the business. So the module 2 goes over your personal finances and how you deal with those and how you plan. So for my business, I want to talk about my business real quick. My first year doing Know Your Numbers and opening up my floral business, I've also done BBB before, so I set up my floral business in that sense, which was really beneficial. But doing the Know Your Numbers and going through trying to figure out what your metrics are of how many you need to take in order to make X, however much you want to make, which is what you go through in your personal, really sets you up for success for what you want to charge and what you want to make and what you want to get out of your business. So for me, my third event was a massive corporate order for LinkedIn, and I made a 55% profit on it, whereas most on their third event don't. And I attain a lot of that to Know Your Numbers, starting with the personal on module 2 and trying to figure out how much do I want to bring home out of this business that I'm trying to run, and how much do I need to take in order to do that. Module 2 I actually did with my husband. Him and I are both self-employed. He is a realtor here in Dallas, and I'm a small business owner here in Dallas, and so we both are reliant on what we do is what we bring in income-wise. If we don't work, we don't get paid. And so going through that was really important for both of us to do it, in the sense of we need to know what we both need to bring home. And so he got to do the business side as well for him, trying to figure out how many houses does he have to sell in order to bring home what he wants to bring. And so it honestly can be used for any business. I own a rental company. I did it for my rental company and my floral company. So it's not just for floral. So if you're a wedding planner, if you're in any other industry, I think it can be applied to any of them. We paid down $50,000 of debt this year just by doing that personally, and I was able to make some purchases that I've been looking forward to because we actually knew what our numbers were prior to going into Know Your Numbers in 2018. My husband and I, it was funny, I thought he was doing all the numbers and the finances and all the budgeting, and he thought I was. And so we got on the same page, figured out, okay, we both need to take responsibility for this. And so it was really great. It was really eye-opening. If you have a partner of some sort, I highly recommend doing the personal together because it's your joint together. So that's how it was for me before and after, and it was incredible.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think honestly, people ask, like, is this just for wedding planners? Is this just for people in the wedding industry? First of all, no. This could apply to absolutely anyone who is in any business. It could also apply to anyone who, I mean, if you've already got a job that you love and you don't have your own business, you would just skip module 3. But I think modules 1, 2, 4, and 5 are still incredibly beneficial and could be super helpful. Brian and I go through module 2 together every year. And it's interesting. So yesterday I did this poll on Facebook, and I asked how many people talk with their significant other about their finances. And it was an overwhelming amount of percentage that said, we just don't talk about it. Like, it's almost just like, I don't really know what's going on, and he doesn't really know what's going on, and we don't really agree, or so we don't, and I don't even think that it's necessarily that people don't agree. I think they think that they're looking at two different things. I think that one person assumes that the bank account is this, and the other assumes it's this, and so they're just not on the same page. And so by going through module 2 together, it really allows you both to see exactly what's happening, and it gets you on the same page. And a reason why, the majority of people's relationships don't last is because they argue about finances. And if you can just take a little bit of time, carve out a couple of days to go through that module together, I mean, I think that it really can help. I mean, Brian and I never argue about finances because of module 2. And I think that's helpful. And I love that, Kimmy, how you shared that y'all just, neither one of you really talked about it, and how when y'all went through it, like what an eye-opener that was, and how y'all, not only did you pay down debt, but y'all were able to go on a family vacation that you hadn't been able to do in a while. Like, that's huge. And so it's scary to face your finances, but it is the healthiest thing you can do. It's the smartest decision that you can do. Okay, Kristen. So Kristen has been under the weather, and she is still here to share with us. So thank you, Kristen. We're so grateful. Okay, Kristen, share with us a little bit about your business and where you are and all that good stuff.
Okay, so I'm Kristen from Orange County, California. For about 14 years, I've been a wedding planner, whether that's for myself on the side or for venues. I took a couple years off and just took some small events in 2016 and 17. And 2018 is when I was like, I really need to get back on the bandwagon, but I wasn't sure. I kind of questioned like what I wanted to do within my industry. So I took BBB for kind of learning the floral side of things. But then Know Your Numbers came into effect when I was like, I want to take a year of really looking at what I need to leave my full-time job, and also what my next step, which is going to be venue ownership, and what that looks like. How do I do this financially? So the first year of Know Your Numbers set the foundation, because I went from client to client to client and not having goals, not knowing what did I actually make, and not really treating my business as a business. So I took 2019 to kind of reset and regroup. And Know Your Numbers this year showed my savings just from looking at like, oh my God, what am I spending on coffee? Like, can I cut that out, and where can that money be reallocated for? And that was huge, because some of the stuff is quite shocking of what you spend frivolous money on, so.
Yeah, it is crazy. I remember when I first did it, I was like, holy cow, okay, let's calm that purchase down. Mine was like Sonic drinks or something like that. But so why Know Your Numbers? Why now? So I've been doing this program for years, but I basically, when I first kind of learned a little bit about a sales goal and that kind of thing, like I knew that was something I needed to know for business. I went to a workshop, a floral workshop, and I learned a little bit about that. And I learned in a really simplified way. And then I really wanted to scale my business. Like, I wanted to grow it. My husband was sick. I had 3 babies at home. And it was like, we've got to get from here to here, like quickly, because my husband's probably going to lose his job because he's sick and in the hospital. And I've got basically a 6-figure salary that I've got to figure out how to make. And right now I make $0. Like, I was making nothing. I kind of was like, had a business, but I wasn't, And so I started working with a head finance director of a Fortune 500 company, certified CPA, and really working on a spreadsheet that at first when I got it, I was like, this is too much. I don't understand it. Like my brain doesn't work this way. And I think that's the fear that a lot of people who may be like us are more creative minded think. It's like, I don't know what all this means. Like cogs, what are you talking about? And like, I don't know if this should go in this category or this category. And so we worked together to simplify this. Like I said, I still need it to do what you're having it do, but my brain needs to understand it. And my brain just doesn't understand this talk. I didn't go to school to learn these things. I don't know these terms. And so I would start to share, and we spent, I guess the past 2 to 3 years really updating it and figuring it out to where it's now at a place where it just makes so much sense and it's so easy to use, and it is it's really incredible, and it helps show you, you know, what you can pay yourself, what your sales goal needs to be, because I think it's at a place where a lot of people, they take every job that comes their way because they're so scared, like that there's not going to be enough money at the end of the year, or that there's no way they're going to be able to survive. And they really come from this scarcity mindset. And we have to learn to come from an abundance mindset. And something that's really freeing about that is if you know, like you only have to do 10 weddings a year. Well, then great, you can be more choosy, because if you're getting 30 inquiries a year, then you're in the driver's seat, and that makes you more confident, and you bring in more sales. And this can be applied in any industry, how many coffee cups you need to sell or how many hair colors you need to do. Ashley, you were going to say something. You share.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so I'm married to a CPA, so I wasn't like totally clueless. Like I said, I had like numbers and data and information, but like his mind works so different. And I feel like this about like business and accounting in general. Like I feel like it's overly complicated. Like that's how it feels. And once I like see something or understand something, like I could run with it. But like he wasn't able to help me because he doesn't know how to run a business. He knows what financials and things look like, but I couldn't like tell him what I needed. And so he was giving me information, and I just felt like it wasn't useful because I didn't know what to do with it. And like going through this, it was like, yeah, you took something very complicated and you like asked the questions, you know, like the dumb questions we all have or like feel like they're dumb, and like really organized it and simplified it in a way that like gives me the freedom to know what my numbers are and to do it in a way like that actually, like I think you said one time, like you could go toe to toe with anybody, like any business person, because you know your stuff. And it's like, I actually feel like I understand business better after going through this.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so helpful. I do. I feel like I could go toe to toe with any business person because I know my business backwards and forwards, and I know my numbers. And there's something about that when you take the time. This is a 5-week program. You can go at it at your own pace. If you want to do it faster or slower, that's fine. But I will guide you through it for 5 weeks. And I ask you it's like a big sister holding your hand through it, and with zero judgment. And no shame. Like nobody can possibly be in a worse situation than I was. And if I can get out of it, like that's what I want to do, is help other people get out of it and help people be able to start their year knowing not only am I going to be able to, not only do I know how much I need to make, I'm going to be able to pay myself through my business. And also I'm going to get to do some things that I want to do, like go to Mexico with my family, or start saving for this venue I want to own or something like that. So Kristen, I know that you have spoken very highly of the spreadsheet. Why don't you share with us like kind of your experience with it?
Okay, so the spreadsheet, the first time around is quite shocking when you really are looking at personal finances and then the business. But the spreadsheet is gold because, like you said, the vision board, I vision boarded my year, what I want it to look like, and then how to get to it is through the spreadsheet. So you can put in your numbers, you can see like, okay, if I want to take that trip, or if I want to save an extra amount, or if I'm going to pay off my debt, you can see like I can either lower my expenses or I can take on another client and still maintain like the profit percentages correctly. And I think it's really important because I know there's some people that just want to get to the business, but the personal, what you're doing with your money that you're making, like it's worth its weight in gold for sure. And because you've already done it and you've perfected it, it helps so much, again, like to understand, and you're just plugging in the numbers and it just shows you where you need to be, how are you on track, or if you aren't on track, like how to get back on track.
Right. And I think another thing for me, and it's funny because I really had this spreadsheet made for me. Like I didn't ever plan on sharing it with anybody. I basically just was like, I got to grow this and I want to try a few different streams of revenue. And the only way I knew how to do this was really with one stream of revenue. And I was like, that's not really helpful. Like that's really basic and simple. And it was like the kindergarten version. And I really needed to learn like big girl stuff. I needed to know how to like have this business and make it grow and scale it. And if I wanted to try this service, what would that look like incorporated with the service I already have? So I was doing floral. So what if I wanted to do wedding planning? What does that do to my overall numbers? What if I want to do one-on-one mentoring? What does that do to my overall numbers? I'm going to do a mastermind. What does that do to my overall numbers? Like everything. And you need to be able to say that and see it. Like you can't just say, this is what I'm going to do and do it and like not know how that impacts and affects your business. Because how it affects your business is how it affects your personal life. Like it all is connected. And I love what you said. So that's why it's complicated in my head. And that's why we worked hard to make it so simplified on the spreadsheet. And now it just plugs it in and it's amazing. But Kristen, what I love about what you said about the dreams, like a vision board and stuff. So I always say that your dreams are tied to your finances. And as much as people don't want to believe that, and as much as people want to come from a place of like, a lot of people come from homes that it was taboo to talk about money, and we don't talk about money, and you don't talk about that outside of the house and or whatever. We need to talk about our finances, and finances are what are tied to our dream. And no, money isn't everything, but you need to have it. You have to have money to live and to do things. And so if you can get to a place where you never have that gut feel, that like sick feeling in your stomach when you check your account. If you can get to a place where you know every day when you wake up that your bills are going to be paid, you're going to have money left over, you can go on that trip or do what you want to do. Like there's a lot of freedom and just peace and just like an overall health benefit that comes from it. You know, you just aren't anxious and stressed, and it makes you a happier person. You're a better mom, you're a better wife, you're a better friend, all of those things. But they are like your dreams are tied to your finances. And so when I was looking and observing successful people who had these big lives, these lives that I envied, and in such a good way, not like a bad, like a jealous way, but just like, man, that looks like, how can I achieve that? And for me, it was always about this freedom of time, right? Like being able to schedule my own life and my own hours. And that really, at the core of it is your finances. And so finding a way to teach this in a way that is understandable and that really gets people where they want to be. So like now some of you have taken it 2 years, some 1 year. I want to talk about let's talk about the transformation. So we kind of talked about where you were. Like, give me 1 or 2 things that like happened since then that you 1 or 2 years ago would have never in a million years dreamed that you could have done. I'll give you one example of somebody who isn't here. She lives in Colorado. It's not Ashley, it's another student. But she thought that it was going to take her 20 years to pay off her student loans. 20 years. And after she took this program with me, she paid off her student loans in 1 year. That's why I say, if you don't face it, if you're not looking at it, you don't know what's really going on. And so I just want to share that so that so much more is possible. So she thought she was never going to be able to like move into a home. She'd always have to be in an apartment. She thought, there were all these things. And then after that year, once she saw what was possible, it's like the sky's the limit. Okay, so Ashley, you go.
So one of the things that I realized for this year, so we're in the process of adopting, waiting to get matched. And so this year, there's a lot of unknowns for me. Like I don't know when that child might come. So when I looked through the numbers and my sales goal and like had already looked at the whole year and visioned out like what do I want life to look like, I think what I could have done was like overcommitted myself, like just taken on weddings because I'm in my second year of business and I just need to like go, go, go. And I was able to step back and say, okay, like I've already booked, like I'm done for 2020, like I'm not booking anymore. Like I have the amount of weddings that I feel time-wise, like with those unknowns, I feel comfortable committing to. And I also know what I'm gonna make this year. And like I could have done more, but I had the freedom to like really step back and say, like, no, this is like, I'm going to be able to have like the salary that I need. And maybe it'll take 2 years to kind of reach like the goal we had, like for, if I took on more weddings, I could have made more money this year, but like we can push off one of our goals just to give me the freedom and flexibility to like welcome motherhood this year. So anyways, that was huge for me. So.
That's so exciting. So exciting. I love that. Okay, Cammie, what about you?
So one of the things that I got to do this year that I didn't think I was going to be able to do was take vacations. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I had to skip some of my family vacations. So my parents have a timeshare somewhere with Marriott, and every summer they go and they spend some time on the beach. And every year I had been able to go, and then business was just going up, and I had to skip 2 or 3 years in a row going to family vacations, and it hurt a lot. My husband and my children would go, and I would say, sorry, I've got work. I got to stay here. I've got to make more money. I've got to do all the things. And this year I had on my vision board that I wanted to take 1 vacation with my husband, and I got to take 3 vacations, and it was incredible. And I won't ever regret that time that I got to pour into my business. He got to pour into his business, and we got to actually go on 3 different little vacations. 1 was a little bit longer, and 2 were just 2 long weekends. But I had it on my vision board, and I saw it every single day. And that was something that I really wanted to make sure was a priority in my personal life. It gave me a break to come back to work and just feel more energized, ready to keep going.
That's so good. That's something that I realized too every year is that, and it gets better every year. I'm able to get a little better at it, but it's all about like whenever I write down like what's missing or what I want more of, it's always more time with people that I love. And I think it's so easy to just continue this kind of the grind or that hamster wheel of just the next day. And I think that often we wake up and I get asked the question a lot, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated? I'm burned out. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And the truth is it's because you're not taking that moment to step away, to take a small break, and to, even if it's just carving out an hour a day for a couple of weeks, to really look and ask yourself these questions, like what's missing in your life and how can we get that back into your life? And when you see so clear on paper, like I spent no time with family, I mean, it's shocking. And it really is like, okay, so that's got to become a priority. And then we share with you how to make that a priority, and then how to help finance that, because people think that they can't take time off work. And it's just, for me, more than anything, what thrills me, what makes me so happy about this is that it really gives people back their time more than anything. Because for me, I come from a place where I lost my sister when I was young, and I wake up every day knowing that life is short, that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And I do not want to be on my deathbed and regret the way I spent my life, the way I spent my days, because how we spend our days is how we spend our life. And so I just wanted to be able to be proud of, that I spent time with people that I love, and with my family, and with, not with what, but with who really mattered. And so if you don't do that check-in, it is so easy to just get right back into the grind. And when you do that, that's how you get on that hamster wheel, and that's why you feel like it's Groundhog Day, and that's how you are burned out, and that's why. And so you really do have to kind of stop and do this check-in in order to kind of, for every year, really to be your best year. Like, I'm so excited. New Year's is my favorite holiday because I'm always so excited about the next year because I know it's going to be better than the last one. And the last one was pretty darn good. That's how I feel. So, okay, Kristen, so you share with us a couple changes.
So the first year, like I said, it was for foundation. So it was really being honest with my business and learning how to treat it like a business and seeing where I need to go based on my vision board. So the first year was definitely learning and taking accountability for my business. And I think that the spreadsheets really helped for that for sure. This year going into 2020, it's more of knuckling down more because I want to pay off my debt and I want to continue to be saving for when I find what it is I'm looking for in venue to make it possible. So achieving that through the spreadsheets and really making sure that I am doing what I want to do, which the vision board helps with.
Do you
it just really puts it in effect.
Do you think that before Know Your Numbers that you were coming from a place of like, that's just some crazy dream that's like, but in the, that's not really going to happen. Like, that's like a dream that I don't really say out loud because I know it'll probably never happen. And do you feel like now you're like, oh, that actually is going to happen and I can see how I can make that happen?
Yeah, for sure. I in the back of my mind, that was always a dream, right? And I saw a property for sale in visiting family, and that's really what sparked it. Like, this could be a reality at some point. And we went through the process of looking at that property. And after the first year of Know Your Numbers, I was able to understand what I was looking at when I was getting P&Ls and all these things from this business and kind of going, what makes sense, what doesn't. So it also helped with that. But it made it, Know Your Numbers made it possible to kind of really go like, this can happen and it will. And I'm just doing the steps each year to get closer to that.
That's so good. One of the things that we talk about in Know Your Numbers is this vision board, and some people roll their eyes at a vision board. I get it because if you've never really done it in this way, I can see how it could be annoying. And I think that sometimes people come from a place of a vision board of just, or even when you're on Pinterest and you're posting and you're like pinning things, they're coming from a place of like they might pin. I gave this example before, like this really beautiful home. But what we ask is like, what is it? Like, why are you pinning that home? Because you don't know, you don't live in the town that home's in. You don't know the architect. You didn't pick out that color. Like, what's the connection that you have with that home? And it might be that actually what it is that it makes you feel like you might think if I had a home like that, that means I could afford a home like that. So that means I would have financial security, maybe. So that's the core of it, is that you want to feel financially secure. Or maybe if you were to pin a picture of a vacation, it's like, maybe not necessarily be about that destination. It's about that you would have a life that would enable you the lifestyle to go do that. So that's how you want to feel, you know? So we really break it down to kind of getting to the heart and the core of it. And I'll tell this story very quickly, but there was a book that I read about vision boards, and this lady and her mom did vision boards every year together. And every year her mom would put Paris on a vision board. And after 3 years, the daughter was doing well enough that she bought plane tickets and a hotel stay for Paris. So it's their 4th year, they're going to do their vision boards together. And the mom, the daughter is waiting for the mom to put Paris on the vision board. And she's going to show her the tickets. And she doesn't put it on there. She doesn't put it on there. She doesn't put it on there. finally the daughter's like, Mom, why aren't you putting Paris on the vision board? She's like, I just don't see how it's going to happen this year. I've got this going on. I've got this going on. I just don't see how it's going to happen. And the daughter was like, don't kill your dream with the how. Dream as big as you can. Do you want to go to Paris? Then put Paris on the vision board. Because what the truth is that creative energy, or what we want, it's energy. And like, if we think, just like with the venue, if you think that's not really going to happen, that's some crazy dream that other people get, but I don't, because I don't know how that can happen. If you immediately say, I wish I could do this, and then kill it by going, but I don't know how that will work, well, then you've just stopped it. You've killed it. It will never happen. So what we do is we try to get you in a process of an abundance mindset. It doesn't matter how crazy it seems, it's possible. So the mother finally puts it on there, and then the daughter hands her the tickets and is like, I wasn't going to do this if you didn't put it on there. Like, you killed it. Like, you don't have to know how it's going to happen, but you have to, it's your responsibility to dream it. That's inside of you for a reason. That dream has been put inside of you for a reason. And if you do not allow that to come out, and Know Your Numbers is such a safe place to do that, then it's never, ever going to happen. And that's why you feel discontent. That's why you feel miserable, or that's why you feel unhappy. That's why you lack joy. That's why you feel unmotivated, is because what you're really meant to be doing is in there, and you kill it with the how. Let me give you one example. So last year, I put Oprah on my vision board, that I wanted to meet Oprah. That's a pretty big dream, okay? It's a pretty big dream. Living over here in Conway, Arkansas, I'm not that well known at all, so it's like, that's a pretty big dream. And how on earth would that happen? And I could kill that very easily with the how, very easily. And I don't even think about that. How am I going to meet Oprah? I didn't even think that. But you know what I found interesting? At the end of the year, I had lunch with Nate Berkus, and I interviewed Sherry Salata on the podcast. Both of those people, Sherry Salata was the executive producer of the Oprah Winfrey Show and co-president of OWN Network. Both of those people have Oprah's number in their cell phone. And I didn't get the number. I didn't ask for it. Not going to. But it's just like, that's one person away from Oprah. Like, I never would have dreamed in a million years. And had I not put Oprah on the vision board, I may not have had either of those encounters. But because I put that out there, those two things came my way, and I didn't even ask for either of them. They just came to me. And I just think sometimes we have to put something out there to receive it. We don't have to know how. Sometimes someone is right around the corner hanging on to the Paris tickets. They're just waiting for you to say, I want to go to Paris. So can y'all kind of share something that maybe that you put on the vision board that actually came true for you? Ashley?
So I just did my vision board for this upcoming year. So I didn't have one for 2019. So maybe one of the other girls, I'll think on that answer, but maybe one of them can answer since they had a 2018 one.
Okay, go Kimmy.
One was the vacations that I talked about. The other one was to have a intentional, awesome team on my team, and I feel like I accomplished that. I have an incredible team of people who have been here for more than a year and a half, up to over 2 years now, and I think I have a really solid team. We know what we're doing, and we know how to take care of our customers really well. Even though that's not like a tangible, I've met Oprah or I've gone on a vacation, I feel like we've accomplished having an incredible team. And if we add more team members, we have an incredible team that they're going to come into. So that's another thing that I put on my vision board that came true. I mean, there were silly things like hire a house cleaner because I hate cleaning my house, and I hired a house cleaner. Or have some good girlfriends in my life, because as an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't. And I do have a couple of good girlfriends. So there's certain things on my vision board that are, silly, like hiring a house cleaner. but some really great things that I think were really, really intentional, and I saw it every single day. So I'm not surprised that it came true because I was seeing it all the time.
Do you think, or do any of y'all think that like your everyday mood, your mentality, your relationship, like was there a shift? Was there a difference like after you finished the program in your stress level or your anxiety or your relationship with others, or what was that difference like? Yeah, Kristen.
So for me, I did not grow up knowing finances. Like I saw my parents struggle with money, and so it was never something I was comfortable talking about. After Know Your Numbers, I feel that I'm able to communicate more with my partner, which is my boyfriend, about where I'm at in terms of paying off debt or expenses and things like that. So it's helped me know where I'm at and not be so scared to check my bank account and be able to, again, see where I want to go and see where I want to build. So it did help me at least be able to communicate where I'm at and have just an open conversation about that for sure.
So like I said, I just went through it in November, but just having like the freedom, I feel like this year in business, I had the freedom to like say yes to the right clients, like ideal clients. And then this upcoming year, like saying yes to the right amount of clients. And that just like, again, because I was just really task driven and deadline driven and not, I could just see this upcoming year be very like hamster wheel like, where I'm like kind of like frustrated and angry, like doing a wedding because I committed to it. And it's something that I like didn't maybe need to. And so I feel a lot more peaceful, even just in the last couple of months, just feeling like I have control over what my time's going to look like instead of having my business kind of run my life. My business is actually like fitting into my life, which just feels so much more like I have more to bring to my business and everything. So
It feels so much better when you're in control of your life a little bit. You know what I mean? When you can kind of get to be in the driver's seat, and when we're so overscheduled and when there's so much going on and you just feel like you're not doing anything well, that's a really frustrating place to be at. And I feel like for me, this gives me such a roadmap, such a plan, not just for the year, but for every day. And it really makes me live such a more peaceful life. Yeah. Okay, closing thoughts we've got 15 minutes. We can share, I know there are people watching that are on the fence. So Know Your Numbers, you can go to knowyournumbers.education. It is available not very much longer. So you definitely want to go check that out. But do y'all want to just talk to someone who might be thinking, I don't really know. I don't know if I want to do that or make that investment. What would you say to them?
I can go first. I had one of my good friends here in Texas. She lives in a different area. She reached out to me maybe a week and a half ago saying, hey, I follow Jessica and I saw that you were a testimonial of Know Your Numbers, but I'm still on the fence and I don't know, should I do it? And I was like, hands down, do you know your numbers first? And she's like, well, I mean, kind of. I mean, like I have a P&L report and I'm an accountant. And I was like, okay, but do you know your numbers? Do you know what you're making, what you're bringing home? And do you have goals and know how to get there? And she was like, well, I guess not as much as I think I do. Then you have to, then what? I mean, you're answering your own question. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't get it. So she, I think, did. Hopefully, Heather, if you're out there, please just do it. But she was very on the fence and she pretty much answered her own question. I don't think I think you either have a fear of actually doing it and actually being successful, or you have a fear of failure and a fear that is scary, that you don't know your numbers and what are you going to find out when you actually go through it. But I think it's super valuable. Highly, highly recommend it. I know it's scary, but it's so freeing in the end.
I think too, I think that if you're asking yourself, or you're even thinking like, oh, that sounds good, but I don't know, like there's your answer. Like there's your answer. You need to do it, because think about where you could be in 1 year. In 1 year, like look at these ladies, look at their lives, look at their examples. We have students who have, paid off college loans, not just one, like several, paid down debt, paid off their debt, doubled their income, started paying themselves a salary, we've had people transform their business, go in a new direction of business, start their business on the right foot, profitable the first year. It really is for anyone who just wants to get serious about, I know we talk a lot about finances in this, but it's really about wanting to live your best year every year, and you get lifetime access to it, so you can do it every single year. I do it every single year, and it really is just about living your best year. I did this poll on Instagram yesterday, and I said, how many of you feel like you're living the life of your dreams? And no one felt like they were. And that made me really sad, because I feel like I am. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I am living the life of my dreams, and I'm in control of that. And we're so much more in control of it than you think. Like you think you have to live here, and you have to do this, and you're tied to this, and you really aren't. And I love just being able to really kind of share that and share my story and kind of help guide you through it. And so if you just aren't happy, or you're not feeling like you just feel like there should be more to your life, I'd love to help you get there. So, okay, Ashley, you want to share?
It may sound cheesy, and I know, I really do think it has the power to be life transforming, because like you said, our days are numbered at some point. There's a deadline on our life, and what are we going to look back? And I love what you said earlier. Our life is spent how we spend our days. And if we're not taking the time to actually one, just reflect on that, to even know what's in our heart, what do we want our life? What are the gifts that we bring to the world? We're not going to attain that. And then I am not a money motivated person. I'm not externally motivated, but our finances they touch everything. And when we don't, and it's not just about business finance, even your personal finances, nobody teaches you how to look at your finances and budget well, or goal plan that's meaningful. And so everything about this, it's just going to touch so many different parts of your life, I feel like. And if you're here listening to this, taking time out of your day to do it, there's probably something in your heart that's tugging. And education's not wasted. And I even remember hearing once, every employee, even if they're not an entrepreneur, should treat their job as though they were one. And just own whatever it is that they do. And I feel when you have a plan for your life, a vision for your life, and then you actually know the practical steps to achieving it, and how your finances fit into that, and what you can actually do with your money and time, when you have that information, you can actually make real change. And so, I don't know, I wish everybody I knew would take it. Even if they don't have their own business, I just feel it can be really transforming for your life.
I agree. I wish everybody I knew would take it too, because, and even Kelly's the right-hand woman over here at Zimmerman. She doesn't own her own business. She's not an entrepreneur. She's no desire to be. But she does know your numbers every year for her and her husband. And that girl's living her life. She's living in Florida. They go to Disney World every weekend. They bought a new car. They went to Jamaica. It's all about planning, making a plan, and carving out the space to do it, and understanding your numbers, knowing your numbers. And this will work for anybody. It really will. And I wanted to share real quickly, we just have a few more minutes, but I have a student named Rachel who, when she started writing down, when she was little, she had this dream of being a writer. And somewhere along the way, that dream had gotten pushed down. And when she did this program and she started writing down things that she, like how she wished she could spend her time. It just came out. She hadn't thought about it in years, but she wrote it down and it said, I'd love to write professionally. It was a little shocking to her because she was doing flowers and she had this wedding business and she was like, oh, and it's like, it starts to, like, what you really want to do, what you're supposed to be doing is in you. And if you stop and you give it a moment to be released, it will show itself. So she wrote it down and she didn't really think that much more of it. She wrote it down. And then when we got to the vision board, she put, I don't know, a picture of a book or I don't know, on it. And 1 week later, she got a call out of the blue for a professional writing job. Like, that's what happens. And it's just, it can change your life. And she was starting to be at a place where she was like, I don't know if I want to do weddings full time. I don't know if I want to do together. She was about to have a baby, like all these things. And so, and it's okay. I just want to say that it's okay to pivot and to change. Like, we don't live in a world where every single person is going to get a job at 23 and keep it until they're 65 and retire. So if you feel like you're having an itch or that you want to pivot and change, it's okay. If you feel like you're not happy, it's okay. But let this program help you. Kristen, do you have anything that you would say to someone on the fence? And then we'll wrap up.
Sure. Do it. You won't regret it. It's something that you get to do every year, so you get to see the progress. If your big dream isn't going to happen in a year, that's fine, but you're going to see progress. And it's amazing. It's easy. It works. It's so helpful. It's just a great tool to have if you are a business owner, and even if you're not a business owner, like the personal stuff, like I said, like it's all good. It's all gold, and you should do it.
Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to Ashley and Cammy and Kristen for taking time out of their days in Colorado and Texas and California, and I'm here in Arkansas. So we're all over, and we just want to say thank you, and I'm so appreciative for y'all for sharing your story. Go to knowyournumbers.education, check it out, and get it. It's only available not much longer, a few more hours, right? So go grab it while you still can, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out and let us know. Okay. Thanks, guys. Make sure that's stopped. Delay. Okay. Guys, thank you so much.